This time on the Knitting News, Tom Daley's Game of Wool is back for Season 2, but are crocheters getting cut from the show? Roll for initiative! Dungeons & Dragons are making their official Crochet amigurumi debut. And new data reveals how knitting is helping people to break cycles of doom scrolling and addiction. Plus the April trend forecast, this month's hottest patterns, and the dates for key knitting events and deadlines to add to your diary. Welcome to the Knitting News. I'm your host Catherine, and I'm here to help keep you in the loop about the latest going-ons in the knitting community. Our top story this month, Channel 4 has officially greenlit a second series of Game of Wool, a high-stakes knitting competition hosted by Olympic legend and knitting icon Tom Daley. Casting is officially underway to find the UK's most talented makers to face off in a series of knit-off challenges. But as the search begins, a major detail in the fine print has the fibre community talking. I've been digging through the official casting call and the latest press release, and there is a glaring omission: crochet. While the first series celebrated all things wool, this year's application process seems to focus exclusively on knitting prowess. There's no mention of hooks, no request for amigurumi skills, and no crochet-specific categories in the initial talent search. Is this pivot to a knitting-only format a calculated one? Season 1 faced a criticism from the fibre community for its identity crisis, between calling the show Britain's Best Knitter while allowing crochet, and the confusing terminology. The production team was caught in a crossfire of its own making. The most stinging rebuke came from the Shetland Organisation for Knitters. They accused the show of cultural appropriation and spreading misinformation, specifically regarding Fair Isle knitting. The show famously presented steeking, the traditional technique for cutting your knitting, as a reckless, high-risk move that led to a contestant's elimination. In reality, Shetlanders have been steeking safely for generations. The error was so glaring that Shetland's MSP Beatrice Wishart actually lodged a motion in the Scottish Parliament calling for more respect towards these heritage crafts. It seems Channel 4 might be trying to fix the blurred lines that left both knitters and crocheters feeling misrepresented last year. But for the hook wielders among us, myself included, with no dedicated crochet competition show on the horizon, it feels like the existence of crocheters has perhaps been swept under the rug to avoid further controversies. If you're a knitter rather than a crocheter, sorry, the casting call is open until midnight on the 10th of April. You also need to have a spare 7 weeks to take off this summer, so I think that excludes a lot of us. In happier crochet news, Dungeons & Dragons has officially entered the crochet pattern arena. For the first time in its 50 years history, Wizards of the Coast have teamed up with Penguin Random House to produce an official crochet pattern book. The collection features 30 patterns that range from the iconic to the adorable. The star of the show is undoubtedly the owlbear cub amigurumi, but the book also includes wearables like a bag of holding and even gloves of missile snaring. These aren't just generic monsters, they've captured the specific lore-accurate look of the creatures we've spent decades fighting on the tabletop. It's a massive win for the geek craft community, who've been making unofficial mimics for years. Though I have to say the D20 pattern looks like it rolled a nat 1. It looks more like a basketball than an icosahedron. There was some concerns on Reddit over potential AI usage, but according to user Yuri the Yo-Yo, who reached out to the author Stacey King, that the book was written with assistance from 4 independent designers with a history of developing patterns for D&D and fantasy communities. A new report from BBC Future has dived into the surprising health benefits of knitting, and the results are quite staggering. Researchers have found that the rhythmic bilateral coordination required for knitting induces a flow state that can significantly lower cortisol levels. But the most striking findings are in the area of habit breaking, from curbing the urge to nail bite or doom scroll to supporting those in recovery for substance abuse. The tactile nature of knitting provides a physical anchor. By occupying the hands and the search and reward centers of the brain, knitting offers a constructive way to manage cravings and anxiety. It's not just a hobby for many, it's a vital part of a mental health toolkit, providing a sense of agency and calm in the face of overwhelming habits. Moving on to a wonderful initiative I've just learnt about this month. What happens to a project when the maker can no longer finish it? For many families, a half-knitted jumper or blanket is a painful reminder of a loved one who has passed away or is struggling with their health. That's where Loose Ends step in. This incredible organisation is a global network of finishers, volunteer crafters who take on the projects left behind by others. Whether it's a grandfather's sweater or a newborn's first blanket, these volunteers bridge the gap between a lost project and a cherished heirloom. For the families, receiving a finished item isn't just about getting a new garment, it's about reclaiming a piece of their loved one's intent and love. It feels like a hug from someone who isn't here anymore. Loose Ends is currently looking for more finishers to join their ranks. If you have the skills to match the gauge of an existing project and the time to help a stranger find closure, head over to looseends.org to sign up. They match volunteers both on skill level and location, so you can end up helping someone in your own community. To date, Loose Ends have welcomed more than 37,000 volunteer finishers. It's a powerful reminder that in our world, you can still depend on the kindness of strangers. Now, on to this month's hottest knitting patterns. If we take a look at the Ravelry Hot Right Now section, you can see there's a good mix of items as the Northern Hemisphere enters the springtime. There's a lot more tops, and I really like this bleary blouse with the frilly collar. That's really cute. I also think this wavelength cardigan has a really unique texture. I'm also loving this heartless top, which I think is a really unique design. And if we filter by patterns just released this year, we can take a look at the newer items. So I'm seeing quite a lot of rugby style polo tops. This one by Sari Nordland's very nice. This stripy Hilma cardigan is really vibrant and I love the eccentric colour combinations. The Charlie cardigan is actually on my wish list to knit for this summer. I am thinking to use cashmere for the first time, which would be very fun to do. Now we'll go over to Hatchie with the latest trend forecast. Thanks, Hatchie. You truly are a style icon. Now, as for what's on my needles this month, I'm currently knitting the Drift Jacket by Alice Hoyle. And as you can see, it's got a bit of a cabling pattern. It's kind of modern rather than a traditional braided cable, which I think is a fun thing to do. It's also knitted with super bulky yarn, so it's working up very quickly. And I'm using Drops Andes yarn and I'm finding it very soft and squishy. If you'd like to learn more about what I'm knitting at the moment and my latest projects, why not take a look at my Knitting with Catherine podcast. Now stay tuned if you'd like to see the important dates for knitting deadlines and upcoming events. I'll have them at the end of the video. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss next month's edition of the Knitting News. I'll be releasing each episode at the start of each month. That's all from me for now. Catherine casting off.